My name is Amarachi Obi, and I used to believe in fairy tales. I believed that one day, a miracle would lift me from the dusty, cracked roads of Nsukka, where I was born and raised, and fly me into the land of dreams, America. But what I didn't know was that that same dream I held so tightly would crush me one day. I was only 19 the day it all began. It was a hot Wednesday afternoon. The sun was blazing like it was punishing the whole village for something it didn't tell us about. My mother, Nkechi, sat under the mango tree fanning herself with an old church program paper. She looked so tired, so small, like life had chewed her up and spat her out. She had done everything to raise me and my younger brother Chisom since Papa died in 2011. But poverty is loud. It follows you everywhere, like your shadow in the sun. That's why when I met Uncle Pascal, everything in my life changed. He wasn't my real uncle, but everyone in our area called him that because he used to travel abroad and bring things back. Shoes, clothes, perfumes. He wore gold chains and always carried his phone like it was made of diamond. One evening, Uncle Pascal came around our area to visit a friend. Then he saw me sitting in one of our house, frying gari. I greeted him, we exchanged pleasantries, so he came closer. "Amara," he said while I was helping Mama fry gari, "do you want to go to America?" I stopped turning the gari. My hand froze mid-air. "Sir?" "I'm serious," he said, looking around like someone who had top secret information. "There's this woman I help in Lagos. She needs a smart girl to assist her in the US. You'll be her assistant. She'll pay you well. Dollars, not naira." Dollar. That word did something to my chest, like my heart jumped and forgot how to land. I didn't know whether to scream or cry. America? Me? That night, I told Mama. She didn't answer at first. She just stared at the wall, chewing her lips like it was tough meat. "Who is this Pascal to you?" she asked. "He's been helping people to travel." "Amara," she said slowly, "nothing is free. Shine your eyes. America is not beans. People go and disappear. We've heard stories." I trust him, Mama. But the truth is, I didn't know why I trusted him. Maybe because I was desperate. Maybe because I wanted to escape the house. The one where the roof leaked when it rained, and kerosene always finished when we needed it the most. Within 2 weeks, everything was like a movie. Pascal took me to Lagos. I didn't even tell half of my friends. Mama borrowed money from a church member to buy me a small traveling bag. Chisom hugged me like I was going to the moon. "Bring something for me from the USA," he said, grinning his gap tooth. I smiled, but deep down I was scared. Lagos was noisy, Lagos was dusty, Lagos was wicked hot, but Pascal treated me well. He gave me food, paid for my hair to be made, even brought me a new phone. "Your visa is ready," he said one evening. After 3 days of arriving in Lagos, "We'll be flying soon." But he wouldn't let me see the visa. He said, "Don't worry, everything is handled. I've been doing this for years." Still, something began to feel off. He started acting secretive. There were phone calls he took in the bathroom. There were whispers in languages I didn't understand. One time, I saw him arguing with a man who had tribal marks and a scar across his chin. I asked him what was going on. He smiled and said, "Amara, you worry too much. Don't you want to leave this country?" And I nodded because I wanted it so badly. My common sense started dying. The night before we traveled, he told me to pack light. "You'll get new clothes there." I didn't sleep. My stomach was dancing like it knew something I didn't. The journey didn't start in an airport. We took a small bus from Lagos to Kano. And from there, we went to Agadez in Niger Republic. He said it was a special route for faster processing. But I thought we were flying from Lagos. I asked. "Change of plans," he snapped. "Do you want to go or not?" By then, I had already told everybody I was going to America. Backing out would mean shame. I couldn't face Mama. I had to believe he knew what he was doing. The roads were endless. We drove through deserts, saw people sleeping on bare sand and others begging for water. We changed cars like underwear, once in Nigeria, once in Niger, and once again before we reached Libya. Yes, Libya. That's when my body began to shake. But Uncle Pascal, I thought we were going to America. He looked at me cold. That is not your concern. By the time we reached Sabha, a dirty, dangerous city in southern Libya, I knew something was wrong. The compound he took me to was not a house. It had tall metal gates. Inside were a dozen of girls, young, quiet and broken. Some had scars. Some had children on their backs. Some just stared at the wall like the wall had answers. A woman named Madam Joy walked in. She looked Nigerian but had a thick Arabian scarf over her head. "Strip," she said. "What?" I said, "Take off your clothes." I refused. She slapped me so hard I saw stars in the daytime. Pascal just stood there silent. That was the last time I called him uncle. I was thrown into a room with 5 other girls. That night, I cried until my throat hurt. One of the girls, Lovett, held me, trying to console me. "Did they lie to you too?" "They promised me Italy," she said. "They lied to me." The next morning, they took us for cleaning. We were baited like goats, checked like goods. Then it began. Men came, old, fat, smelly men. And we were sold, not hired, sold like bag of rice. I was now a commodity, a body without a name. They called it work, but it was rape. Every night. Sometimes I screamed. Sometimes I just closed my eyes and disappeared into my mind. Weeks passed. My period stopped. My soul broke. One day I gathered courage and asked Madam Joy, "Please, Ma, let me call my mother." She laughed. "Your mother? She can't help you. You don't belong to her anymore. You belong to us." I was in Libya, but not in the city of freedom. I was in a prison without bars, a country that eats girls like me for breakfast. And all I could think about was my mom and my friends and how I told them I was going to America. I didn't know how long I was in that place. Days, weeks, time lost meaning. The sky outside the barred windows looked the same every day, hot, dusty and hopeless. They kept us in a crumbling compound near Tripoli. We were guarded by men with guns and dead eyes. Their job was to make sure we didn't run, and if anyone tried, they disappeared. Lovett whispered that one girl once tried to climb the fence. They broke her legs, she said, her voice flat. Then they poured hot oil on her. I believed her because one night I saw a girl limp past the hallway, her thighs covered in fresh wound. She didn't cry, not because it didn't hurt, but because crying didn't matter here. I was given a number, 109. That was what they called me, not Amarachi, not Amara, just 109. Clients would walk in, look at us like items in a meat shop and point. "She looks new, fresh. I want her." Then the horror would begin. There were no off day, no bathroom with a lock, no hope. Sometimes I would bite my own finger just to feel something that belonged to me. I began to forget what my voice sounded like when it wasn't shaking. I began to forget what laughter felt like. I even began to forget Mama's face. One evening, while sitting alone, deeply lost in my own thoughts, a girl named Zainab from Kaduna whispered something that changed everything. "There's a way out." I blinked. "What?" She leaned in close so the guards wouldn't hear. "There's a woman, Auntie Aisha. She works with the Red Crescent here in Tripoli. Sometimes she helps girls escape, but she only helps those who are brave enough to try." "How do we find her?" "She doesn't come to you, you go to her. But it's risky. If they catch you..." Her voice trailed off. That night, I didn't sleep. My heart pounded like drumsticks on a plastic bucket. Was it worth the risk? But deep down, I already knew the answer. Anything was better than this life I had here. 2 nights later, we got our chance. A fight broke out between two of the male guards over money. They were both drunk. One of them fell asleep near the entrance. Zainab and I made eye contact. She gave a tiny nod. We tiptoed, quiet like cats. But then, a girl stepped on a plastic plate. It echoed like thunder. "Hey!" One of the guards shouted, grabbing his flashlight. Zainab yanked my wrist. "Run!" We ran. We didn't think. We didn't pray. We just ran. Through the back door, into the alley, past an old tire shop. I had bullets behind us. One whizzed past my shoulder. The air shook. We ducked behind an abandoned car. My heart was in my throat. My knees felt like water. Not if we move now. Follow me. We made it to an old mosque compound. Zainab knew someone, an elderly man who swept the place. He gave us water, bread, and a phone. Zainab called a number, spoke quickly in Hausa and English. "She's coming," she said after dropping the call. I quietly asked her, "How did you get the number?" "Long before you came, there was a man who used to sleep with me. He gave me her number and told me how to find her, but he never touched me. He left after giving me the information," Zainab replied. When Auntie Aisha arrived, she didn't look like a hero. She was soft-spoken, wore a hijab, no makeup, but her eyes were sharp, like someone who had seen things. "Where are you from?" she asked gently. "Nigeria," I whispered. "Enugu." She sighed. "Too many of you." She brought us to a safe house, just a small flat with 4 other girls hiding. Most of them were skin and bones. All of them were quiet. But it was freedom, even if it was temporary. The next week was blur. Aisha told us she worked with an European rescue group that helped trafficked girls return home, but it would take time, maybe months, to sort documents and smuggle us out. She asked for names, families, home addresses. I wrote down Mama's number. She tried to call her. There was no answer. She called again. No answer. "Oh God, where did Mama keep her phone?" I cried. That same day, I started bleeding. I thought it was my period, but the bleeding didn't stop. Aisha took me to a clinic. The doctor did some tests. He came out with a long face. "You're pregnant," he said. I laughed because it didn't make sense. Pregnant? With whose child? I didn't even know who. How could I? Then I broke down. Not because I was pregnant, but because even my own body had betrayed me. Aunt Aisha placed a hand on my shoulder. "You'll be okay. You're not the first." "I don't want it," I whispered. "I can't carry a child from that place." She looked me in the eye. "Then you must decide soon, because Libya doesn't give second chances." That night, I lay on the mat staring at the ceiling. Outside, the streets of Tripoli buzzed with distant gunfire and angry men. But inside, my world was silent, still and broken. And then I heard a knock, a soft knock, not at the door, at the window. Zainab sat up. "Who is that?" I crept closer. A shadow was outside. Then a voice whispered in Hausa, "They found you." For a second, I froze. "They found you." A voice outside the window repeated itself, shaky, urgent, whispering like it was afraid of being caught. Zainab pulled me back. "Don't go near the window." "Who is it?" I whispered, heart thudding like it was going to punch out of my chest. The voice spoke again. "It's me, Faisal. Zainab knows me. Tell her we don't have time." Zainab's face changed. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. "You know him?" I asked. She nodded slowly. "He helped me the first time I ran. He's part of Aisha's contacts." A part of me wanted to believe. Another part remembered what trust had already cost me. Faisal pushed a folded piece of paper through the window. "Aisha sent this." We opened it. It was handwritten in her neat, sharp script. "They know about the safe house. Don't wait till morning. Faisal will take you to the Red Cross shelter by the border." Zainab didn't waste time. She stuffed our bags with the little items we had: toothbrush, clothes, documents. We woke the other girls. 2 said no, they were too afraid. We didn't force them. We snuck out through the back fence, walking along cracked alleyways and narrow footpaths. Faisal walked ahead in silence, wrapped in a dark brown hoodie. Zainab held my hand. My stomach felt heavy, not just from the pregnancy, but from the fear of what could go wrong next. We passed the mosques, then a pile of abandoned cars. Then I heard it, engines and shouting. Faisal spun around. Run! We did. Bullets cracked the night. Zainab screamed. We ducked into a ditch panting. My palms scraped against sharp metal. There were sounds of sirens and footsteps. Faisal's voice was hard. He said to us, "We have to split up. You two go down the narrow canal. I'll lead them away." He was gone before we could say thank you. We walked in silence through the narrow canal, ankle deep in mud, until we reached an old construction site. Zainab slumped against a wall, breathing hard. I turned to her. "How did they find us?" She looked away. "Zainab," I asked again softly. She didn't answer. Instead, she whispered, "Amara, I didn't want to tell you before." My body stiffened. "What is it?" I told them where we were, but I didn't know they would come this fast. I swear, I thought they would wait. My mouth opened. No words came out. "You did what?" She burst into tears. "They said if I helped them find one girl, just one, they would let me go. They said they would give me money, papers, freedom. I didn't think they would come with guns." My chest was on fire. I couldn't breathe. "You told them where I was, after everything?" She was now sobbing and shaking. "I thought it was just a location check, not a raid." I stood up and looked at her. "You sold me, just like Pascal." No, I was trying to escape. I was trying to survive and save my friend. But we were already about to be rescued. Did you have to do this?" "I needed to release my friend too," she said. "You traded my life just to buy yours and your friends? Where is your conscience?" She tried to reach out for me. "Please, I'm sorry, I swear." I slapped her hard and she fell to her knees crying. "I trusted you, and now we are both lost again." The next morning, I left her at the site. I didn't even say goodbye. I wandered through the city, hiding my face with an old scarf, my stomach growling and tears dried on my cheeks. Tripoli was a beast of a city, and I was alone again. For 3 days, I survived on roadside scraps and water from leaking pipes. My feet were blistered, my mind was numb. On the 4th day, I fainted. I collapsed near a taxi park, and the next thing I knew, I woke up on a clinic bed. A man in a Red Cross vest stood beside me. "You're Amarachi Obi?" he asked. I blinked. "How did you know my name?" He smiled kindly. "A woman named Aisha left your name with us. She's gone into hiding, but she asked us to find you." I started crying, not out of sadness, but because for the first time in months, someone had come for me. They moved me to a shelter in Zouara, near the Tunisian border. It wasn't perfect, but it was safe. They gave me food, clothes, soap. They gave me my name back. 2 weeks later, a representative from the IOM, International Organization for Migration, interviewed me. "We're helping trafficked victims return to their countries," she explained. "But it takes time, paperwork and embassy clearance." "How long?" I asked. "Maybe 4 weeks." I nodded. Then she said softly, "Are you aware you are 2 months pregnant?" I nodded again. "Do you wish to keep it?" I closed my eyes. I remembered all the face, the men, the night, the shame, the blood and the screams. But then I remembered Mama's hand, how they used to rub my back when I was sick, how she sang to me when I was 5. And I whispered, "I don't know." That night, I prayed for the first time in months. I didn't even know what I said, but I cried deep cries from my soul. I told God, "I'm tired. If you want to end me, do it now. But if you want me to leave, help me leave. And the next morning, something in me shifted. The sun looked warmer, the air tasted different. I didn't know it yet, but my return ticket was already being processed, and someone was coming, someone from Nigeria, someone who had been searching for me since the day I disappeared. When the plane touched down in Abuja, my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I couldn't tell if it was fear, joy, or both. For a moment, I didn't want to get off the plane. I didn't want to see Nigeria again, not after everything I had gone through. What would I even tell people? That I went to America and came back with nothing but scars and a pregnancy? The IOM officer who traveled with me noticed my silence. "You are safe now, Amarachi," she said gently. "Whatever happened there, ended there." I wanted to believe her, but trauma doesn't obey airports. As I stepped down from the plane, my eyes met the sunlight again, Nigerian sunlight, but it didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like something new, like a second life. They brought us to a halfway center in Karu, a quiet place where returnees could sleep, eat, and talk to counselors. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, one hand on my growing belly. Was this child my cause or my second chance? 2 days later, they gave me a transport stipend and a phone with airtime. I dialed the number I had memorized by heart, Mama's number. It rang twice and then she picked. "Hello? Hello?" My lips trembled. "Mama." There was silence. "Amara." I broke down. "Mama, it's me." And then she screamed, the kind of scream that makes birds fly away. Then she wept. She said she thought I was dead, that someone had told her that girls were being killed and dumped in the desert. She had fasted, prayed, buried one wrapper and candle at my grave spot. "I told God, if you're alive, let me just see you one more time before I die." She didn't even wait for me to come home. She borrowed money from her 3 neighbors and boarded a night bus from Nsukka to Abuja. She arrived before dawn, barefoot, breathless but determined. When she entered the shelter compound, she fell on her knees and cried until her wrapper soaked with tears. "Mama, I'm sorry," I said, kneeling beside her. She didn't speak, she just hugged me, long and tight, like she was trying to stitch my body back together. 3 weeks later, we returned to Nsukka. People stared, they whispered. Some said I looked different. Others said I looked used. One woman crossed the road to avoid me, but Mama held my hand tight. "She's my child," she said loud and proud. "She went through hell and came back. You wouldn't last a week if you were in her shoes." And just like that, I remembered who I was. I gave birth 7 months later, a baby girl. I named her Zikora. It means show the world. She looked just like me, and yet better. She was my proof that something good could come from evil, that a child could be born from pain and not become pain. The government rehabilitation program helped me enroll in a tailoring workshop. I learned fast. My hands, once used for begging clients to stop, now stitch wedding gowns and school uniforms. I became the tailor girl with a big scar on her shoulder and a soft baby on her back, but I also became a voice. One day, I was invited to speak at a local school where they were doing a seminar on human trafficking and youth dreams. I stood in front of young girls with bright eyes in cheap lip gloss. I told them the truth. I told them not all visas are printed on paper, some are printed in lies. I told them how dreams can become trapped. I told them about Pascal, a man who used America but meant hell. I told them about Zikora, my second chance. That day, a girl from the back of the hall raised her hand and asked, "Ma, would you go back to Libya if you had the chance to do it again?" I paused. Then I said, "No, but if I didn't go, I wouldn't be standing here today." A month later, someone called. He was a journalist. He had read about me. He wanted to do a documentary to show the world what happens to girls like me in order to warn others. So I said yes, but only on one condition. Pascal must be mentioned by name and he must be brought to judgment. With the help of the IOM and some contacts, we tracked him. He was back in Nigeria, still recruiting girls, still lying, still wearing that gold chain like he was untouchable. But this time the law touched him. He was arrested with 4 fake passports, 5 girls and a brand new lie. The news aired on TV. I sat on the floor holding Zikora, watching his face flash across the screen. Mama clapped her hands. "I told you," she said, "God does not sleep." Today I still live in Nsukka. I still sew clothes. I still hold seminars. I still cry sometimes when the wind reminds me of Tripoli. But I am no longer a victim. I am Amarachi Obi, a daughter, a mother, a survivor and a voice. They promised me America. They gave me Libya, but somehow I came back with strength instead. The moral lesson of this story reminds us that not every opportunity is genuine. Always verify, no matter who is offering it. Silence empowers evil, so speak up even when your voice shakes. Survivors are not broken people, they are the strongest among us. The dream of a better life must never be the type that costs you your dignity.